Good day. So my discussion for today is Module 7, Economic Theories of Crime Causation. So let's go now to our first slide. So first, economic model of criminal behavior. Ito tayo sa basic theory. As mentioned in the overview, the economic model of crime is a standard model of decision making where individuals choose between criminal activity and legal activity. So, dito sa economic model of crime, so nandito yung decision making. Ayan yung kailangan nilang pumili kung gagawa ba sila ng criminal activity or gagawa sila ng legal activity. Tama, hindi illegal. On the basis of the expected utility from those acts, it is assumed that participation in criminal activity is the result of an optimizing individual corresponding to incentives. Among the factors that influence an individual's decision to engage in criminal activities are: first, the expected gains from crime relative to earnings from legal work. So, kung ano yung magigain nila, makukuha nila, ma-earn nila. Next, the chance or risk of being caught and convicted. Number 3, the extent of punishment and the opportunities in legal activities. Specifying an equation to capture the incentives in criminal decision is a natural first step in most analysis of the crime as a work models. The most important of this gives the relative rewards of legal and illegal activity. For example, the economic model sees the criminal as committing a crime if the expected gain from criminal activity exceeds the gain from legal activity or generally work. So, dito sa economic model, nakikita or kaya nila ginagawa yung criminal activity na yun kasi mas marami silang makukuha, magiging, kaysa doon kapag ginawa nila yung legal work. Okay? Doon sila ngayon magdidesisyon kung saan sila makakakuha ng mas maraming earning. Next, let's go now to Karl Marx theory. Marx class theory portrays capitalism as one step in historical progression of economic system. The follow one another in a natural sequence driven by vast impersonal forces of history that play out through the behavior and conflict between social classes. According to Marx, every society is divided among a number of social classes, whose members have more in common with one another than with members of other social classes. In a capitalist system, Marx believed that the society was made up of two classes: the bourgeois or business owners who control the means of production, and the proletariat or workers whose labor transform raw commodities into valuable economic goods. So, dalawa daw na klase, yung mga business owners at yung mga nagtratrabaho or under ng business owners, yung mga workers. The bourgeois control of the means of production gives them power over the proletariat, which allows them to limit the workers' ability to produce and obtain what they need to survive. So, yan yung sa Karl Marx theory. Yung two classes of social class. Yung bourgeois and the proletariat. Capitalist society is divided into two classes. The bourgeois or the capitalist class are the ones who own and control the wealth of the country. Yan yung mga businessman, business owners. These control the productive forces in society. What Karl Marx called the economic base, which basically consisted of land, factories, and machines that could be used to produce goods that could be then be sold for a profit. The majority or the masses of that, what Marx called the proletariat, can only gain a living by selling their labor power to the bourgeois for apprentice. So, kagaya ng sabi ko, yung mga proletariat, yan yung mga workers, yung mga nagtatrabaho. The bourgeois increased their wealth by exploiting the proletariat. Marx argued that the bourgeois maintain and increase their wealth through exploiting the working class. The relationship between these two classes is exploitative between the amount of money the capitalist pays his workers or yung wages, yung ang tawag dito, sweldo, is always below the current selling or market price of whatever they have produced. The difference between the two is called surplus value. Marx does say that the capitalist extracts surplus value from the worker. Because of this extraction of surplus value, the capitalist class is only able to maintain and increase their wealth at the expense of the proletariat. Siyempre, payaman sila ng payaman dahil sa mga trabador nila. Kasi, kapag walang trabador, hindi naman gagana yung business nila. Hindi tatakbo yung business nila kung wala silang mga trabador. To Marx, profit is basically the accumulated exploitation of workers in capitalist society. Marx thus argues that at root, capitalism is an unjust system because those that actually do the work are not fairly rewarded for the work that they do, and the interests of the capitalist class are in conflict with the interests of the working class. So, yan ang pagkakaiba ng bourgeois or bourgeois and the proletariat by Karl Marx. So next, those who have economic power control all other institutions in society. Marx argued that those who control the economic base also control the superstructure, that is, those who have wealth or economic power also have political power. Yes, kung sino yung may wealth power, syempre sila din yung mga may political power. So, economic base, the mode of production, consists of the forces of production like tools, machinery, raw materials which people use to produce goods and services, and the relations of production like social relations between people involved in the production of goods and services. Together, these make up the mode of production. Next, superstructure all other institutions, the legal system, the mass media, family and education, and many more. So, yan yung sa economic base and the superstructure. Sa economic base, nandiyan yung production, goods and services. Dito sa superstructure, nandiyan yung legal system, yung mass media, the family, and the education. Next, we have ideological control. So, ideological control na tayo. Marx argued that the ruling classes use their control of social institutions to gain ideological dominance or control over the way people think in society. Marx argued that the ideas of the ruling classes were presented as common sense and natural, and thus an equal exploitative relationship were accepted by the proletariat as the norm. Siyempre, ginagamit or yan yung ginagamit ng mga ideological or ng mga ruling classes para makagain sila ng dominance. Next, the result of the above is false class consciousness. The end result of ideological control is false consciousness, where the masses or proletariat are deluded into thinking that everything is fine and that the appalling in which they live and work are inevitable. This delusion is known as false consciousness. In Marxist terms, the masses suffer from false class consciousness and fail to realize their common interests against their exploiters. Commodity fetishism. A fetish is an object of desire, worship, or obsessive concern. Capitalism is very good at producing things. In capitalist society, people start to obsess about material objects and money. Siyempre, lahat naman ng tao, okay, once na nagkaroon ng maraming pera, na o-obsess sila dyan, lalo na sa mga iba't ibang objects, which is necessary to purchase these objects. Material objects and money are worshipped in capitalist society. So, wino-worship daw nila sa capitalist society ang money and objects. Some people even need material objects to construct identities. So, kinakailangan din nila ng object or material object para makapag-construct sila ng kanilang mga identities. This is partly responsible for keeping most of us in false consciousness. Next, revolution and communism. As far as Marx was concerned, he had realized the truth. Capitalism was unjust, but people just hadn't realized it. He believed that political action was necessary to wake up the proletariat and bring them to revolutionary class consciousness. Eventually, following a revolution, private property would be abolished, and with it the profit motive and the desire to exploit. In the communist society, people would be more equal, have greater freedom, and be happier. So, ang alam noon ni Marx, okay, parang ginigising niya yung mga proletariat or yung mga workers para magkaroon ng revolution. So, yan yon. Evidence that Marxism is still relevant today. Contemporary Marxist sociologists argue that Marxism is still relevant in many ways. For example, family. Parents want the perfect family and they compete with one another for the best house, car, holiday, and the best dress, most successful children, and many more. This is encouraged through advertising and TV programs. Significant sums of money are spent in pursuit of the perfect family. Oo naman, lahat naman tayo or lahat ng pamilya gusto perfect na family. Pero diyan nagkakaroon ng conflict. Okay? Kasi kapag nakita ng isang pamilya na ganito yung isang pamilya, gagayahin or mas aangatan pa. So, this benefits the bourgeois in two ways. Parents work harder at work, improving profits for their companies, owners. The bourgeois, or number two, parents spend more of their salary on providing this lifestyle. This benefits the bourgeois as they can make more profits by selling goods and services to the parents. Furthermore, it makes parents feel happy about family life and society. Generally, even though they might work 13 hours a day for an average salary, rarely seeing their family. Lastly, children grow up watching their parents behave in this manner and then replicate it as adult with their own family. So, kapag yun ang nakita ng bata dun sa mga magulang nila, yun din ang gagayahin nila. At ganun din ang gagawin nila dun sa magiging pamilya nila. Media. The mainstream media is controlled by few wealthy individuals. Alam naman natin yan. Who promote the ideas and beliefs that maintain the bourgeois wealthy position in the society. This encourages people to accept beliefs which benefit capitalism and legitimize or justify the exploitation of proletariat or workers as normal. The media justify exploitation and even make it into game shows. Please correct me if I'm wrong doon sa bourgeois, kung yun ba yung tamang pronunciation niya, or bourgeois. Correct me if I'm wrong. Number 3, education. Encourages people to accept hierarchy and to be obedient. This is good for capitalism, as it creates students who will later become good workers. Also, schools emphasize high achievement and high-flying jobs. Implicitly, this means highly paid jobs, better profits for the company owners, and more exploitation for the workers. Schools also encourage the idea of people get what they deserve in education, when in reality, educational achievement is primarily a result of the chance circumstances of your birth. Example, who your parents are. So, education, yan yung pinaka maganda na maibibigay ng mga parents natin. Okay? Kasi once na natapos ka sa pag-aaral, syempre, magkakaroon ka ng trabaho. Next, Frederick Engels and William Bonger's theory. Marxism is both a social and political theory, which encompasses Marxist class conflict theory as Marxian economics. Marxism was first publicly formulated in the 1848 pamphlet, The Communist Manifesto, by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, which lays out the theory of class struggle and revolution. Marxian economics focuses on the criticism of capitalism brought forth by Karl Marx in his 1867 book, Das Kapital. Bonger's theory, The Problems of Capitalism. Bonger's theory, The Problems of Capitalism, can be used to explain variety of crimes from minor crimes to more serious offenses. For example, vagrancy and begging are more common under capitalism because there will always be some people who are unable to sell their labor. Furthermore, Bonger noted that as an example of how poorly paid some laborers are, it can even be more profitable to beg than to work. Sabi niya, mas nagpo-profit pa daw yung namamalimos kaysa yung nagtratrabaho. Kasi yung namamalimos, wala naman siyang ginagawa. Okay, namamalimos lang siya, pero mas marami siyang kita. Kaysa doon sa nagpapakahirap magtrabaho ng ilang oras, but at the end of the day, ito lang yung sweldo niya. Next, because in capitalist society, having possessions can be viewed as success. People who cannot afford these possessions may turn to crime, especially theft to attain greater status in the views of others. As an example of violent crime, the economic situation influences the amount of rape by affecting whether people can marry. Marriage in turn limits their crime. So, yan naman yung kay Frederick Engels and Wilhelm Bonger's theory nila. So, that was the end of my Module 7 discussion. So, thank you and God bless.